What's up, guys? Superior Carnivore here, and hopefully I can talk to you for a moment without my dog getting crazy out there. I got a little puppy out there, but I want to talk to you about the price of food, cost of food, and I was thinking about I have been fortunate that I've been able to uh, level up my food game by not just going carnivore, but also having access to higher quality sources of beef, especially. So I've been getting my meat from White Oaks Pastures, and just last night I ordered some meat from grasslandbeef.com, or also known as US Wellness Meats. And because they had some chuck roast on sale, and it was a pretty good price. I got like 15 pounds of chuck roast for like $158. Now that's over $10 a pound. And a lot of you might say, "Oh my God!" And that's how much you could expect to pay at best. You can expect to pay $10 a pound for a good pasture raised beef, ground beef, just ground beef. And you might say, "Oh my God, that's like 4 times as much, 3 times as much, twice as much as the store as I get at the store." And and it just takes back to the whole, like the whole thing is relative. You have to look at it. You have to look at the big picture here. So when people say I could never afford to eat only meat, look how expensive meat is. Yes, the meat is more expensive, but that's all I eat is the meat. I don't eat vegetable sides. I don't snack. I don't graze, and I don't need to. Because meat is so satiating. That's the most important thing. It's not calories. Nutrient density has a lot to do with it, but nutrient density plays a large role in whether or not you're satiated. That's why if you eat a bowl of cereal, you're hungry an hour later because the cereal has no nutrient value whatsoever. It's pure garbage. All your body is doing is converting the carbohydrates into sugar and storing it or burning it off. That's why you get a sugar rush. It's burning it off as quickly as possible because the sugar in the bloodstream is toxic. And then whatever it can't burn off, it will store as fat. So, and then you'll be hungry later on because your body's like, I got nothing of value out of that. I'm still hungry. And you have to think of hunger in terms of hunger is not, an empty stomach. Hunger is nutritional deficiency or nutritional lack, or if your body's ready for nutrients, it tells you to eat. And conversely, on a carnivore diet as a bodybuilder, I try and bulk, and it is miserable because my body stays satiated, the entire time that I'm awake, and it doesn't want to eat, and I have to force it to eat. I have to force myself to eat because I need to put mass into my body to bulk. And the body just says, no, I don't want to eat. And it makes you feel miserable. I can have a beautiful tomahawk ribeye just slathered in garlic butter, which is the most beautiful thing in the world. And it'll look disgusting to me because it almost triggers your gag reflexes because you're satiated. Your body doesn't want nutrients. It doesn't need nutrients. So it's telling you, don't waste your time. Don't waste my time. So, so you have to look at it. And so I've always stressed this, but I don't know if it's really gotten through to people, but the food that you're eating that is making you fat and sick is not food, it's drugs. It's literally designed to be drugs. So when you go from a standard American diet, which is 80% drug food, to a carnivore or a keto diet, which is meat based, 75% meat maybe or more. You are not swapping one food for another. You're swapping drugs for actual food. Because on a standard American diet, the only thing that's actually nourishing you is the actual meat. You know what I mean? And the rest of it's just, bread and condiments and sugar, and the French fries cooked in seed oil, which is literally the worst thing you can eat. Literally the worst thing you eat. And how often do you feed that to your kids? French fries cooked in seed oil. They're just guzzling it. And you're just destroying them. I hate to say that. But it's true. So you have to be brutally honest about these things. So anyway, you're not switching food for food. You're switching drugs for food. You're switching garbage for actual nourishment. And you'll know that once you start, eating an actual meat-based diet, you won't be as hungry, and you'll be full longer, and then you'll eat less, which eating less means spending less money. So, so you're not going to have to, you don't, and you're not, all the grazing that people do, like the snacking industry is the biggest scam that's ever been, foisted on us. It's like, you don't need to snack all the time. You don't need to constantly eat. Eating 6 times a day is terrible for you because you're constantly keeping your insulin spiked. You're constantly exhausting your liver. And it's just bad. It's marketing. You're listening to marketing when they tell you to eat 6 times a day. Most people on a carnivore diet only eat 1 or 2 times a day. And frankly, I'm doing I don't have anything to really share with you because I'm just not really sure, but a lot of arguments are being made that even that I am grossly overeating, even though I'm only eating beef and eggs, basically. I'm eating way too much protein. But that may not be true. It's something I'm currently exploring. So the point is that don't look at it in terms. You have to look at it in its proper context. So you're not switching food for food. You're getting off of drugs and you're starting to eat real food. And you'll find that as you eat real food, you eat less of it, and therefore it actually costs less. So that's why I'm actually able to afford eating meat that's 2 or 3 times more at the grocery store. Now, if you can't afford $10 pound ground beef, then the store-bought ground beef is perfectly adequate. I mean, you're eating that beef and that meat and that chicken anyway on the standard American diet, so you're just cutting out all the other garbage to it, and you're not eating the highest quality meat, but you're still eating meat, which is the only thing nutritious about the standard American diet. And now you're cutting out all the drugs, so now you're getting a high quality animal protein. You're getting you're getting the B vitamins and the creatine and the carnitine, and if you're eating eggs, you're getting the choline and the vitamin D3 and all the great things that are in eggs, and the butter, the K2 in the butter, all the things that you can't get from plants, all the things that your body is nutritionally starved for because you haven't been eating it. So I actually spend, now I can't say that I'm spending less money now than I ever have, because I have started spending a lot more on food just because I'm buying high quality meats. But before I started doing that, before I was able to do that, I had we had some success, let's just say financially, that allowed us to level up a little bit, give us a little more financial comfort. Before that though, I was eating, if you go to Sam's, for instance, you can get their 85-15 organic ground beef, grass-fed ground beef, which is probably a little bit tricky because they can feed their cows grass and call it grass-fed, but they don't have to tell you what else they feed them. But I was getting that for under $5 a pound, and that is still nutritionally superior than a McDonald's value meal. If you just eat ground beef and cheese. There's my dog. She's had enough. I'll be right there, you brat. Go lay down. So anyway, let me wrap this up for you guys. I hope you got the message. You have to don't look at a box of ramen noodles and compare it to a ribeye, because it's not the same thing. Yeah, the ribeye costs more, but a lot of people will just eat a giant ribeye, like a $30 ribeye, and that's all they eat for the entire day. You eat a $30 ribeye, but you only spend $30 for the day, and it's more than enough nutritionally to sustain you. You don't need carbs, you don't need plants, you don't need fiber. The same people who tell you need fiber were the same people who told you cholesterol and saturated fat were bad. And if you know cholesterol and saturated fat were bad, then you really need to, open up your mind to the fact that, and I was the same way. When I first heard about carnivore, I thought it was an internet gag. I thought it was like eating Tide Pods. Of course you need fiber. Of course you need plants. I've been eating plants, I was keto for like 5 years, and I'm like, of course I need plants. I'm doing great on plants. And I'm not telling you not to eat plants. I'm just telling you, if finances are concerned, then you definitely want to spend more on meat than you do on plants, and especially like potatoes and rice are just starch. And understand that because there's nutrients in the food doesn't mean that you have access to it. You don't have a digestive system or a biology in order to access those ingredients. And a lot of plants have anti-nutrients that, that say, just because there's all these nutrients in a potato doesn't mean you get those nutrients when you consume it, and then there's all the inflammatory markers, and it's a nightshade. It's actually very toxic. And everybody's like, well, I didn't die. Well, you don't die when you smoke a cigarette, do you? But everybody knows smoking a cigarette is bad. It's cumulative, and just like that is, and so is eating potatoes cumulatively harmful. Eating spinach cumulatively harmful, and I can tell you that within 2 weeks of going carnivore, I had all kinds of nagging joint issues that went away. My shoulder impingements were gone in 2 weeks. It was unbelievable. And then I had golfer and tennis elbow at the same time. It was very painful to work out at times, very painful to do certain movements like skull crushers. Couldn't do them at all. I couldn't, if I did skull crushers, I wouldn't be able to lift my hammer the next day. It was so inflamed and painful. Gone. So, there's very, and that's not anecdotal. That's not like just about anybody who's ever gone carnivore tells you the same story. Because it's not inflammatory, because the plant-based diets are highly inflammatory, highly glycating. So, and you're just getting those out of you. So you have to look at it in the context. Am I eating real food, or am I eating drugs? Am I eating my species inappropriate diet? You are not herbivores. You're not omnivores. If you're omnivores, you could eat plants and do fine. Most people who eat just plants end up looking like a crackhead, or they end up looking like Lizzo. It depends on if they're on a processed food vegan diet or a whole food vegan diet. One or the other. You can line up 100 vegans and line up 100 carnivores and look at the difference. And I'm talking about carnivores. I'm not talking about people who eat meat are not carnivores. I got into an argument with a vegan yesterday who thought that people who go to fast food restaurants were carnivores. I'm like, no. Carnivore is 75% animal-based. And like you go to McDonald's and get a value meal, that's 80% plant-based. You got the bun, you got all the vegetables, the ketchup, the fries cooked in seed oils, the high fructose corn syrup drink. It's overwhelmingly plant-based, guys. So anyway, I don't want to go on too long. My dog is getting impatient, but that's just my message for you. If you're concerned about money, if you're concerned about finances, then prioritize the meat and you will spend less of it. All right. Thanks, guys. Love you.